God, we're fucking rich.
Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be part 3. And what happened last time was I was collecting up pills, and I was starting to worry about the fact that they were going to take the pills off the shelves, the Sudafed off the shelves, and this was beginning to worry me about my family, where I'm going to get the money to keep things rolling. I had my bike shop going, and I was just spending a lot of money on cool bikes and stuff like that. I really wasn't saving money. I was kind of walking the walk, but not talking the talk, kind of. But so it was starting to worry me, and people around me, other users, were getting a little antsier too. The stuff we were making was getting hard to come by. The pills were getting hard to come by. And so we had to come up with something else. And then at the same time, we had more bills coming in, and then we missed 1 month's mortgage payment. And I'll tell you what, if you want months to fly by, like weeks, get behind on your mortgage. Before you know it, it's time to pay again, and there's no way to catch up. And it was dreadful. It was horrible. Months seemed like they were only 10 days long. It was so terrible. And so I had the pressure of my wife getting mad at me, wondering why I don't have any money, because I had a good job and the bike shop was going good, but this continuation of buying meth from the cartels, from the Mexicans, and every other batch was bad, and trying to get a good connection, it really took its toll on my billfold, because I'd get burned here and there. The stuff was no good, and it's not like the old days where we had the best shit in town. So it was getting tough for me. So yeah, at work things weren't going so well. My wife was really pissed. She was struggling with some kind of depression. Her brother had been killed in a snowmobile accident, and that took its toll on her. And everything was not going well. And she was basically calling me at work and bitching on the phone at times, and coming down, creating a scene every now and then. And the way it seemed like my employer was losing faith in me. I was coming to work late once in a while. My 15-minute breaks, sometimes I'd fall asleep for a half hour. And I was head of the fab shop. I was running the fab shop, so things weren't going too well there. And the bike shop, that always was going good, because bikes, everybody needs their bikes fixed, I guess. And so the pills were getting harder to come by. And then we got behind on the mortgage one time, and so it was going to be, I kind of knew that we were going to be moving out eventually, but I had to start cleaning out my garage. I had a little junkyard going in the backyard, like every tweaker does, and I had aluminum. I had extruded aluminum from my job that I bought. I had tons of it, so I had to start scrapping that out. And I think, if I remember right, it took 15 trailer loads behind a full-size truck of metal and aluminum and that was our new source of money to pay for the drugs. And although I did have a lot, I knew that was going to run out of money too. So we had to come up with a different way to get money to pay for our habit, which resulted in me going full-time scrapping metal. So I had the bike shop, I had my job still, but hanging on to it barely. I was missing mortgage payments, so that was coming to an end, and now I was scrapping metal. And it was pretty lucrative at that time. Copper was up to $3 a pound. So scrapping a lot of air conditioners, stuff like that. And then, of course, the thieves would start bringing stuff around to me, and it was literally, I was starting to feel my bike shop turn into what they call a meth pawn shop.
Could you describe what a meth pawn shop is?
Well, how it ends up, how you become a meth pawn shop is you have your buyers who are using meth, and their tolerance keeps going up. So they're going to need more meth. And then one by one, they slowly lose their jobs. So you got addicts who need their meth, and it takes them more now to get high. So the money's got to come from somewhere, and they got to get high. So they start bringing me stuff from maybe it's their grandpa's stamp collection, or I remember one guy, he sold all his dad's, not all of them, but he was stealing enough of them. His dad had a whole collection of antique colonial swords from the Civil War swords, and they were worth a bundle. I didn't get any of them, but someone else did. But so they're bringing this stuff in, and you're collecting this stuff. It's really cool. It's like, wow, look what I got. I got all this cool shit, right? But then when your dealer comes over and sees you have all this cool shit, you know what he does? Take a guess.
He wants it?
He wants it. So he'll run through a batch of bad stuff for you to sell, and pretty soon nobody's buying it, and then you owe him money, and then he brings out the really good shit, and then you don't have no money, so you start trading all the cool shit you got back to him. It's a vicious circle. Everybody does it. I don't care. That's the way the drug business is. So all your cool shit that you thought you had is now gone, and you're back to having a pile of good stuff, of good meth, but then all your cool shit that you collected is gone. So now in comes more of this cool shit that takes care of because they'll only trade it for the good stuff, so you trade off all your good stuff for more shit. There's no money, there's no cash coming in, and this vicious cycle continues to roll all the time. And what you end up with in your meth pawn shop is a garage full of broken shit that nobody wants. You got mini bikes that don't run. You got fucking cars that don't have reverse. You got watches that you thought were gold plated. Although you paid nothing for them, they ain't worth nothing. And yeah, that's what a meth pawn shop is. What it does is you got policemen going by, and they spot it. They know what to look for, and they're like, oh, he's dealing. So we got all this going on, and at this time I'm trying to liquidate and clean up the yard and move out before I'm forced to move out, and before the policemen come and take me away. And it became a sense of urgency in the air, and I I had to somehow get clear of all this stress and all this, my wife, the mortgage collectors, the bill collectors. So we thought, we're going to file bankruptcy. We filed bankruptcy. And that took care of $40,000 worth of debt in a few strokes of a pen. But it didn't save our house. So this was what they would probably call rock bottom. But you always had some way to justify what you were doing. Don't worry, as long as we got each other. And and it just went on and on, because it's not like you didn't want to quit using meth. You couldn't. Because if you did, let's say I quit cold turkey, then I would just sleep for a week straight, and I would miss work. And if I did go to work, I couldn't perform. I couldn't do nothing at all. So pretty soon you're just using meth, smoking meth to feel normal. And hopefully with some good, maybe it got a little bit of some good shit, it would give you a little bit of energy to maybe perform a little bit better than you think you were the day before, I guess. So it was the worst life you'd ever want. But granted, at this time I did not know that it was gonna continue for another 10 years.
How old were you when you filed bankruptcy?
About 40. Yeah, 40 years old, 40 something. I'm not sure, but somewhere in there. It's kind of a blur because of the stress involved. But and at the end, then I had to put up with my mom and dad. They lived 2 blocks away. They're wondering, why are you going to lose your house? You have a good job. You've got the bike shop. Where's all the money? What's going on? So I've got all that going on too. And lie after lie after lie after lie. And just keep on lying. And I just keep saying, hey, I quit drinking, remember? At least I quit drinking. It's not easy when you're not drinking. I'm not going to drink. Just stupid shit I used to say. I just want to go have a beer, but I will not have a beer. Just all these stupid fucking lies that I kept on saying. So at this time, I got this old white Dodge pickup. I got my driver's license at this time, and I'm scrapping metal, and everything's going pretty good. My job is on the fritz. So I lost my job, and then I had to make a decision right there that I got to get the hell out of this house, find another place, get rid of all this aluminum, cash out of all my parts and bikes and everything else, and start somewhere else in a different town. So this is my plan. And at this time my son is 1 year old. So we get evicted, we move the fuck out, we rent a place in the next town. So the cops didn't come through my door. So now we're out of their town, so they don't even care. They don't even care now as long as I'm out. So I move into this house, and at this time we were out driving around middle of the night. We're dumpster diving and scrapping metal, looking for stuff, and I get pulled over. I didn't have my insurance. I didn't have insurance on my truck, and my license was really on the brink of being pulled. So it did finally get pulled. So now I don't have a driver's license, but I'm out of the house. I cashed in everything. I got a new place. And I'm still collecting, like I said, $400 and some a week for unemployment. So what I would do at this time, I had to come up with a new plan. I had to reinvent myself. So I had all these nice bicycles. I decided at that point in time that I was going to deal full time, start slinging dope all over this new town that no one heard of me yet. And I was going to do it on bicycle. and that way I didn't have to worry about nobody snitching on me, catching me. I didn't have to pay for gas, insurance. So I was going to do it all on my bicycle, and it started out pretty good. I had some pretty good connections, and basically I was just became a bean counter. Just I was really good at math. I ain't anymore. Not as good as I was back then, but so I did everything on my bike, cruising around, and at that time I would buy a couple of 8-balls with my unemployment. I would buy them on Tuesday when I got paid, and I basically had till next Tuesday to try and make some money off it. But usually, at first, when I first started, I was flat ass broke by Sunday morning. So I had to figure out how to do this right. I knew it was going to take some time, but I was getting high, and at the time that was one of my main concerns. Yeah.
So, if you were living in the next town over, were you dealing full time? Had you quit your job at this point in your bike shop, or?
Yeah, the bike shop. No, I had moved all my bikes and tools in my big shed over to this new place I was renting, which pissed off the landlord because now his mess, now his yard, his rental has got a tweaker yard in it, and he was pissed. And how I managed to stay there for almost 2 years is a miracle, but I did because we were paying rent, and but we were in the next town, and I think I was making, like, when I finally got into streamlined and figured out how to not get ripped off and how to get as much money as I could out of all my customers, and I was barely staying alive, but things were going all right, and I was learning. I was meeting a lot of new people, although I already knew quite a bit of people. This was a whole new task force, different county, different task force, so everything was good for a while. Okay, so one of the main hurdles, the main obstacles that I had to figure out was all the ways that people were able to rip me off, and all the sneaky little ways that people ripped everybody off. Once I figured out and could think outside the box on not getting ripped off, things went a lot smoother. Now, after I filmed this part, I am going to do a shorter story about all the different ways that people ripped me off and how I safeguarded against all that. So when you're done with this, you can go over to that one. But so I figured that out, and everything was going good except for one thing. The landlord comes over and says, "Here's your eviction notices. Get the fuck out. You're not living here anymore." So now I'm back to square one again. I didn't know where to go, and this was the summertime, and the schools in this neighboring town sucked. At that point, my daughters were going at their old school, and we were driving them there from the other town. It was allowed. So we didn't know what to do, and we didn't know where to go, because if you get evicted, it's hard to find a place to live. So my mom and dad stepped in and said, "You can live with us until you can find a better place." And I couldn't believe it. They were going to help me out. And so me, my wife, 2 daughters, my son, and 2 dogs moved in to the basement of my mom and dad's house, Grandma and Grandpa. My mom and dad were Grandma and Grandpa to my kids. We moved into their basement house, and they lived in a Rambler with a tuck under garage. So we had what was left over from the basement as our living quarters. But I had mom and dad living upstairs, and they had 2 dogs also. So now The house that I grew up in is now where me, my wife, 3 children, my mom and dad, and 4 dogs were going to live. And I thought, this is going to work. And it did work very well. And we will get to that. The next part, that would be my story part 4. And we'll get to that, and from that point on is where it really gets wild. Thank you for tuning in. Don't do meth, don't do drugs, and don't be stupid. Live your life, and keep on keeping on. I'm out.